Today, I'd like to continue the discussion on deglobalization, but I want to look at it through the eyes of our chip manufacturing around the world. Um, as AI has come on, chips have become incredibly important. Our best performing stocks, um, the best performing stock in the history, I believe, is NVDA. So, how does deglobalization fit in with everything that's going on with the chip market? First, let's look at some of the chip stocks. Here's Qualcomm, doing all right. Here, of course, is NVIDIA, doing more than all right. Fantastic performer. Here's Taiwan Semiconductor, truly another great stock. All of these things are performing magnificently. But what are the relationships between Taiwan Semiconductor, Qualcomm, and NVIDIA? Okay, as you can see here, NVIDIA designs the chips while TSMC manufactures them. And the design is the value add. And this is where everyone goes. But as you can see, TSMC, being the biggest and the most important producer of chips in the world, they've been performing very, very well. All right. Now here's the chart of Intel. Okay, and certainly doesn't look like our other chip manufacturers around the world. In fact, it kind of looks like exactly the opposite. Now, Intel is very interesting as a chip manufacturer because it's actually two firms in one. It's very much like NVIDIA and Qualcomm, where they design chips. They have an arm that does that, and they've been doing that for 20 years. But they also have a fab, which is a chip manufacturer like TSMC, like Taiwan Semiconductor, all right? And this is, in the old world, was really looked upon as a major negative. Intel's already come out and said they're going to need, I believe, $60 billion over the next 5 years to have this thing come to fruition. And so it has been, let's say, not the darling of Wall Street. And in their last 10K, they start off and say that one, their revenue is down 1%, their GAAP earnings are negative, they forecast that third quarter is going to be down again, they're implementing a comprehensive reduction of spending, including 15% headcount, they're suspending the dividend, and they're getting ready to release their first chips that they're manufacturing from their fab. So in the old world, before deglobalization, Intel was not the stock to buy, right? No one wants it because this is what happens in the old world where you go where it's the cheapest place to make. Now, we're facing the tremendous national, global challenge in that all our high-end chips are basically made in Taiwan. So I want to add in a narrative here. Let's put in 3 or 4 narratives, or you can put in your own narratives. It doesn't matter. But let's say that, last week China had 400 ships going round and around Taiwan, plus all the planes interfering with them and so forth. And Xi has told the army to be prepared to the nth degree for war. Right? So let's look at it this way. What if we wake up tomorrow and China does attack Taiwan? Right? So let's say they're unsuccessful. That looks like Taiwan's going to survive. So then China decides to bomb all the chip manufacturing in Taiwan. And they do. Or let's say that China is winning when they go after Taiwan. And the Taiwanese, everyone knows, they've basically mined their factories, so they blow them up. Or Taiwan and China get together and they form an imperfect union, kind of like Hong Kong. And once the Chinese get control, they cut off the chips to us, right? Now there's 3 scenarios. You can come up with 20 more scenarios. It doesn't matter. The point being is that the most valuable commodity in the world is, and the biggest one, by the way, is information, and information is now being manipulated through chips, and chips are a critical part of every single economic country, society, however you want to say it. They're critically important, all right? So if one of those narratives happened with Taiwan, the next day when we open for trading, what would NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Micron be trading at? And what would Intel be trading at? The only fab chip manufacturer in the United States. Now we're building 15 or 16 plants now in the new CHIP Act. But you gotta remember something. You look at chip manufacturing kind of in 3 tiers. The low tier, we're talking toasters and stuff like that. Then the second tier would be your phones and your iPads or stuff like that. Then of course your top end ones, which is where NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductor put their businesses together, okay? And so Intel would be the only company with a fab plant in the United States. So what would be the value of Intel the day after? What do you think? Do you think it would go down? Or would it be invaluable? What do you think? Like and follow? And certainly, I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you very much.